everybody, this is Raymond Sharp and
Tanesha Sharp.
And we're here to jump in. We're so very excited to join you all this week. Yes. We have a good topic that we believe will be very helpful and beneficial to you. For those who are new to Jump In, we want to say welcome. And what we do is take time to talk about topics that can enhance, improve, and give you some insight in your life. Today, we're going to talk about overcoming traumatic situations. And one of the most dangerous things we do at times with overcoming traumatic situations is not taking the appropriate time to really heal from what we went through. So many times, we feel like we have to keep going. And sometimes people feel like, well, if I can just keep going, I'll be fine. But really, you have a hole, you have an unresolved issue, you have sometimes an unresolved emotional stress that you have not dealt with that even though you've moved on physically, mentally, and emotionally, you may not be the person you were, and you haven't given yourself time to get kind of restored to that original state prior to the emotional trauma. And this emotional trauma may not come from relationships as far as a romantic relationship. It may come from dealing with the situation with children, dealing with the stress of work, dealing with just general disappointment and frustration in your life. And sometimes it comes with just getting older, that we think that by this time I would have had this, or by this time I believe this would have happened, or by this time in my life I thought I was going to be married, or by this time I thought I was going to be in a much different place than you actually are. And sometimes with that and the repetition of it and the length of time that it takes for certain things to come to fruition in your life, that can be traumatic as well. And we want to talk just and briefly about that today.
And also, like, when you work hard towards something, like, you have set a goal and you did everything possible to meet those goals. And then things fall apart. Things don't work. If you start a business and you've probably been in business for like 3 years and, you run out of money and you have to close your business and stuff like that. So a lot of things that disappoint us and a lot of different traumatic experience we go through, and really taking that time is very, very important. As soon as things happen, immediately, sometimes we got to keep going just to kind of troubleshoot whatever is happening, so we're like kind of present in the moment as far as handling whatever we need to handle immediately, because some things need immediate assist. When things happen, handle what needs to be handled immediately, but take that time before the end of the day to reflect. Go for a walk. Go do something to kind of think about, and kind of begin to heal from what happened. Does that make sense? And kind of...
if I can jump in real quick. Yeah. Sometimes we usually said, begin to heal. Yeah. Sometimes people need time to process.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. To process.
Sometimes
what just
something happens. It's like boom, something happens. Like, oh my gosh, okay, and it's like, okay, let me respond. Yeah. And sometimes people will jump straight to, I need to get over it. But no, take some time to really understand what happened. Yes. Break down and analyze how it happened, why it happened, and not make assumptions about why it happened, but really get the full breadth of what happened. Absolutely. Sometimes one of the easiest things we can do at times is to easily assign blame to other people. And sometimes in the process of our healing and processing it, we have to understand our role in what happened.
I'm not focusing on other people's.
Just real quick. I had a relationship in the past that, I felt like I was done wrong in the relationship. However, when I really sat back, it's like, okay, there are some things I did in that relationship that caused this person to act this way towards me. So even though their action is something I did not like, I had to take personal responsibility for what I've done to contribute to their response towards me. And I think a lot of times, not just with, again, romantic relationships, but sometimes with our children, I've, worked in education for a number of years. And sometimes, one of the sad facts of education is that some kids get in trouble. And I remember talking to a parent, and she was like, see, I didn't want my kids hanging with this type of kid. And what they didn't realize is that their child was the ringleader. And so they was projecting blame, but not really seeing that their child had a hand in their own demise. And, that was information I could not readily share. But before you start assigning blame and putting it on other people, take a step back and see what your role is, especially for parents. If you have children, instead of assuming that your child didn't do anything wrong, say, okay, son, daughter, what was your role? What did you do? What did you say? And make sure they're being honest, because they're like, I didn't do anything at all. And you get puffed up like, okay, so I'm going to find out whose fault it is. But really, your child is not being honest and just making decisions that they are afraid to come to you and talk to you about. And then, and speaking on that, if you don't mind me.
No, you're good.
Okay. When it comes to trauma, some children are traumatized because they cannot go to their parents and simply be honest with them because they're afraid of the response. So at the same time, not to say you have to be a child's friend, but foster an environment that no matter how bad off a situation is, that your child can always come to you and be honest with you about what's going on so that you can appropriately help them instead of getting upset, them lying to you, and you're trying to do everything to protect the lie that they perpetuated, and really you're digging a bigger hole because the more that the lie is given a place to hide, the worse off the situation is going to be.
Yeah, with our kids, we have to let them know, sometimes I say, you're not going to get in trouble. I had to show them early on that in the past, when they're little, they get in trouble a lot. But at some point when you're really trying to build them, allow them to be able to share with you, they're not toddlers anymore, they're older, they know what they're doing. We give them a space and we just say, hey, you're not going to get in trouble. We need to practice honesty. I need you to continuously be able to be honest with me about what you did, and you're not going to get in trouble. I just need to know. And so then when they begin to know that they're not going to get in trouble every single time they do something wrong, it creates a, kind of like, to me, I feel like they need to practice telling the truth because it's easy to tell a lie. And they need to know that there are benefits in telling the truth, and that just because you tell the truth, it's not always going to be, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. You may not even get in trouble. I may be like, oh, that's it. It may not be that big of a deal. And so, but they'll never know unless they just tell the truth. And so I'm trying to show them that now. I think we've been working with them to be honest because it's not always easy to do, especially when you're young. You don't want to get in trouble. We discipline them, but we still allow them to be honest, even with the stuff that we know that they would get in trouble with. Sometimes they won't get in trouble. We'll sit and talk them through the whole process of, this is how you make a better decision next time, and trying to be gentle with their feelings and what they got going on, and really trying to understand, just really trying to help them with their decision making, so they can, and also having them to build the trust with us. So when they tell us something, we can know that they're not lying, because kids lie. You can't, kids don't tell the truth all the time. So, I've learned how to read my children. I can tell, especially with my youngest, I can tell when he's lying. He
has some big tails. Yeah,
I can tell when he's not telling the truth.
Oh, man.
And so, so we're working on that, because it's not always easy for a child. It's not easy for adults to be honest, really. So if we practice on, even as adults, if people begin to practice being honest, and not always fearing the repercussions of what might come out of it, then I think things will be good. We kind of shifted a little bit, but
but getting back, well, it's still, I think it's a line.
You gotta be a safe place for your children.
One thing with traumatic situations, and sometimes people have a hard time going back to the place of the trauma that they were, for some it's a work environment. Let's say if you were applied for a promotion, you didn't get the promotion, and you got to still work with the same people that you was working with and see them every day, and you're reminded that they didn't see enough in me to get this promotion. And sometimes, instead of getting upset and becoming withdrawn, just go to whoever's in leadership and say, hey, look, thank you for at least, be positive about it. Thank you for interviewing me. What did you see in my interview that I could improve on? What in my job performance do I need to do to improve? Use it as a point of improvement, not a point of pain.
And to learn something.
And to learn from. Yeah.
And not everything is bad.
No, not at all. But there are some bad situations.
Yeah, there are.
Like I have grown up and have worked and was young and have grown up in the city that I consider my hometown, and in that there are certain places, certain parts of town that I drive past that is like, yeah, that's where this happened, or oh man, that's where that happened. I had to learn how to kind of ask myself, why do I always get upset? Why do I always feel sad? Like I had to really get myself to a place where I dealt with the trauma of going past these certain places as to, okay, why am I still upset? Why is this still even bothering me? So even with that, I had to really do some self-examination. Have I said, okay, I dealt with that situation, but really have I processed it? And this is what we want to talk to y'all about today.
Have you
Processing things in a healthy manner. And sometimes part of that process is just simply talking to people. If people say, are you okay? The biggest lie we have to get over talking, and we just talked about lying, is saying, oh, I'm okay. I'm good. Oh, everything,
I'm fine.
Hey, that happened, but I'm over it. Some people are just lying through their teeth. You're not, just say, no, I'm not okay. I need help. I don't understand why this happened to me. I don't understand why this happened to my family member. I'm dealing with this. Get help. Talk to someone.
And I'm hurting. It hurts.
It's a lot of hurt people, and what we do at times, we project our hurt on other people without even realizing it. We project our frustration and disappointment on other people without even realizing it. So one thing we have to do is just talk and talk to the right people, though. Talk to people who have your best interests at heart. I want to tell you all that one of the best things you can do is get counseling.
Yes, go to a professional.
I'm a person, I believe in God. Yes, I believe in Jesus Christ. Yes, I believe in prayer and the power of prayer, but I also believe that you need to get with professionals, okay? So if your pastor or your spiritual leader is not a licensed counselor, talking to them is good, but go seek some professional help from someone who's licensed and they know what they're doing, okay? And sometimes there's people around us that can advise us and guide us, but there's others who are very skilled and professional at what they're doing. I'm not knocking any pastors or any pastoral leadership at all. Appreciate y'all. You all are great. However, I do believe that people need to seek professional help from the professionals. And
they may can give you strategies on how to, or things you could practice. Different. I mean, you just should. And then sometimes just even talking it out. You're like, oh, it just releases a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I would say, too, one of the worst things you can tell people that are struggling with something is that
get over it.
Get over it, or if you're just talking back about church, it's just, you just need to pray. And some people need to step beyond prayer, just to be completely honest. Some people
have been through a lot of traumatic
situations,
events, over and over and over again, and disappointments.
Yeah.
Over and over. I mean, we've been through a lot of disappointments over and over and over again. And sometimes you have to really, know what to do with all of that. And you can't hold all of that in. You have to really, really get some help. And it's okay. We're saying it's okay.
Yeah. If you need someone to say, hey, I'm an advocate for getting counseling. I believe it works. I believe that it's effective when it's done by the correct person. Make sure you get you a licensed professional. Don't just say, well, I'm just going to, I know somebody, they just give good advice. That's great in appropriate context, but, again, you want to get someone skilled. I wouldn't have someone who's not a licensed general contractor build me a custom-built home, and if somebody say, oh, I know how to put some stuff together. No, you want someone that's skilled at what they do, so you make sure that you're getting the great result in the end.
You got to treat it like if something else was hurt on you, if you had to go, if I broke my ankle or whatever, twisted my ankle, whatever, and I can't no longer walk, I would go see a doctor.
Yeah.
I would go get help.
You go see a specialist.
A specialist, because I can no longer function. I can't get around, without the doctor, without getting him to fix what's broken. And we're walking around, a lot of us are really, really broken. And we're broken. A lot of us are. Because a lot of people have been through traumatic experience. Even one traumatic experience can cause you, can affect you forever. Yeah. And so,
if you allow it to.
If you allow it to. And if you don't properly heal from it.
Like I said, I used to work in education. I told one of my students one time that I got wind that she had went through something very traumatic. And, I had a relationship with her that I can really talk to her. And I said, hey, look. I said, just because this happened, it doesn't need to define the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way that you're talking, the way that you're behaving, the way you're going about doing everything, this situation is now defining everything in your life. And it does not have to be the case. And she sat there, she started crying. She said, I'm so glad you said that, because I felt like that's how I had to live my life now. And now she's great. She got the help she needed. Things are going wonderful for her. But
that's a good example.
Yeah, if you do see someone that is struggling, or they've been through something traumatic and everything is changing, and not really changing for the best, it's just like they're only seeing everything through the lens of that trauma. If you have a relationship with them, talk to them. If you don't, suggest that, in a nice manner, privately, that, this is what I'm noticing about you. I'm coming to you as a friend or someone who wants to see you do well. You may need to go speak with someone, or, who's somebody in your family that you can talk to kind of get this, talk you through this situation that know you. And there's so many other different types of traumas that people go through, and we're not by any means belittling those traumas. We're not trying to, but we want to encourage you all first to process it. Two, don't blame yourself, because there's some traumas, I can admit, that are self-inflicted. There are others that are not, that you're suffering at the hands of other people unnecessarily. Identify the root of where the trauma is coming from. As much as you can, cut that root off. Get rid of it. Get away from it. Move on. If you need help with that, contact someone. There are professionals that would love to help you move on from that trauma so it cannot continue to hurt you. And this is a part of processing it. It's like, okay, I'm being traumatized by this person. Now how do I move on from it? And just be very careful with that.
And if I can say something real quick, and I know we're getting ready to finish, but don't stop waiting for them to apologize. Stop waiting for them to come to you and try to make sense of everything. Because sometimes we say, well, if they would just say, I'm sorry, if they would just explain and tell me why, if they would just, and you give them so much power, where you can just go ahead and get what you, and does that make sense?
Yeah,
sometimes, when it's someone else's fault, we want them to apologize. We want them to help us make sense of everything or explain why. But if they never do it, if that never happens, you cannot continue to live life the way you're living it. So you have to get help outside, and not waiting on someone to pretty much, give you that peace or give you that, they've probably moved on with their lives and doing whatever they're doing, and you're still stuck left, with, and just like you said, people, thinking that your future is determined by what you've been through or what they've done to you, where you can just, pick yourself up and get some help and get somebody to talk to so you can work through that situation and not wait on them to release you or to give you that confirmation or give you whatever you feel like they need to give you, because you may not ever get it from them.
Yeah. The last thing I'm going to say is this. In any type of traumatic situation, again, be careful with assigning blame.
Yes.
A lot of times, we have to go back and look at ourselves and see, how did I contribute to this?
Start there.
Yeah. And another thing is, whenever you find that and in some cases, you are not the person to blame. Somebody else was taking advantage of you, taking advantage of a situation, or just, not being considerate of you, your feelings and your emotions. Revenge is not the answer. Revenge will complicate and throw further chaos into the situation. And you actually are becoming what, you said you would probably never do to someone by seeking that same revenge on them. So don't ever forget that whenever you're traumatized, if you don't correctly deal with that trauma, you will traumatize other people. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So I hope this information helps. Share this video if you know somebody or anybody can benefit from what we've said. Please get some help from a professional, because we are not professionals. We are not.
We make recommendations.
We make recommendations.
And our recommendation is get professional help.
Yeah, based off of our personal experience and what
yes.
has worked for us. We're just sharing what works for us. And so by no means we're telling you what to do. You make your own decision. You know your situation. But just giving you some perspective and some things to think about that you may not have realized, or thought about. But I hope this information helps. And so as you're jumping in, you need to when you're jumping in, things happen. And so then we're talking about what to do when things happen.
Especially in business,
Especially in business.
Don't allow disappointment starting out dictate how you move forward. A lot of the greatest people that I consider mentors locally and people that are like icons in business, that I admire the work that they do. They have a story of man, I lost everything 2 or 3 times before it finally hit for me. And so don't think that you're not going to be a success. You just have to work through things.
Because things fail.
Yeah, get a mentor so you don't have to make the same mistakes other people made. Be accountable to somebody so they can walk you through the process, and you will do great things, okay?
Yeah. So, all right. So until next time, we want you to what?
Jump in. Y'all take care. Have a
right.
great day.
We'll talk
Things
to you later.
will get better.
Things will get better.
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.